Hey everyone, my name is Clara, and I'm 28. I'm here to tell you about this huge mess I made, a real blunder that cost me everything. I'm not looking for anyone to feel sorry for me, or to forgive me. Honestly, I just hope if anyone's in a similar spot, they'll stop and think before it's too late. This is a story about being weak, making bad choices, and dealing with the consequences, which stick around. If you're listening, maybe you can learn from my mistakes and not go down the same road. So, let me tell you how it all started, and how I lost the most important things in my life. I'm Clara, and I worked in an office in Austin. It wasn't some fancy job at a big company, just a small marketing place, but it paid the bills and kept my little family going. My husband, Mark, he was a good guy, really cared about me. But, life gets busy, and I started feeling like every day was the same old thing, kinda dull. Then, my new boss, Julian, showed up, and everything changed. He was charming, had this confident way about him, and a good sense of humor, and there was this mystery about him that I couldn't ignore. Every time Julian was near me, I felt this weird pull, something I'd never felt before. At first, we just talked about work, normal stuff colleagues say to each other. But Julian, he was different. He had this way of talking that made you feel like you were special, like what you had to say really mattered. His compliments, even the little ones, felt real. He'd notice the small things, like how I put together a report, even the really detailed stuff. Or how I handled a tough customer, or just what color shirt I was wearing. "Clara, you're really good at this," he'd say, just soft and honest, and I couldn't help but smile. At first, I thought it was just him being a nice boss, but those little compliments became something I looked forward to during the day, like a little pick-me-up. We started talking more outside of work stuff. Late-night texts started coming in. They started with work questions, but we quickly got into personal stuff. Our hobbies, memories, things we hadn't told anyone else at work. Those texts, every message from Julian, gave me this weird feeling. Sometimes it was a simple question, "Are you tired today?" Other times, "You did a great job today." Just casual stuff. "It's rare to find someone who gets it," he'd say. I'd read those texts in the dark, and this strange feeling would grow in my stomach, something I couldn't explain. I knew I was getting into dangerous territory, that we were more than just coworkers. But something in me had changed. I couldn't stop. Instead, I kept going, like someone caught up in the excitement of something new, not caring about what might happen. In the days that followed, Julian and I went beyond just texting and looks at work. We took things slow, but those little steps got bigger. We started meeting at small coffee shops in quiet places. Julian would pick places where we wouldn't see many people, like a corner table by the window, where we could talk without worrying about being seen. He'd get there first, order 2 coffees, and wait for me with his smile. We'd sit there for hours, talking about stuff other than work, dreams we had, things that made us happy, or just enjoying the quiet when we didn't have anything to say. Lunch dates turned into longer meals. We'd pick cozy little restaurants with dim lighting, places where we could talk without being noticed. Julian would always pull out my chair and put his hand on my shoulder as I sat down, a little thing that made me feel cared for in a way I wasn't used to. Then, one day, he asked me to his new apartment, said it was a quiet place where he could work when he wanted to get away from the city noise. I hesitated at first, but he was so convincing, and I had this feeling I couldn't explain, so I said yes. Julian's apartment was small but nice, high up with big windows that looked out over the city at night. I remember the first time I walked in, the soft yellow light from the lamps making it feel cozy. He poured me a glass of wine, and we sat on the couch, music playing softly in the background. I told myself it was just a little adventure, something to break up the boring routine. I told myself no one would find out, to calm my nerves, but every time I was with Julian, every touch, every look, I felt like I was losing control. I didn't realize I was falling so fast. The excitement and intensity one felt with Julian pulled me into this thing, and I couldn't get out. The warnings in my head went away, and I was blind to everything else. I didn't think about tomorrow, or what might happen. I just didn't want to lose that feeling, not for a second. I started taking risks, or maybe I was just too confident that no one would find out. Julian's texts were still on my phone, not deleted or hidden. At first, I told myself they were just random messages, nothing anyone could figure out. But every message showed exactly what I was hiding. My phone would vibrate when I was sitting in the living room with Mark. It was a message from Julian. I miss you. Those words on the screen made my heart stop for a second. Mark looked up at me, but I quickly looked away and picked up the phone, trying to act normal. Just a work email, I said, trying to act casual. But even though I didn't say anything, Mark's eyes showed he was worried, and it made me nervous. I was coming home late more and more. I'd make up excuses, I have a meeting today, or I'm working on a big project, and he'd just nod, but I could tell he was getting suspicious. When I walked in the door, he'd be standing by the window, looking out at the night, thinking. His eyes weren't the same. They were still the eyes I loved, but they looked sad. Maybe he didn't want to say anything, or didn't know what to say, but every time he looked at me, I saw my own guilt staring back. Dinner got quieter. Mark sat across from me, but he didn't talk as much as before. The questions about my day were short and distant, like he didn't believe my answers. I could feel us drifting apart, a little crack turning into a big gap. I tried to tell myself everything was fine, that Mark would never find out, but deep down, I knew he suspected something. The worry and disappointment in his eyes were a warning, but I ignored it. Instead of listening, I kept making mistakes, thinking I could get away with it. One day, I was sitting at my desk, and I felt this weird vibe in the office. At first, I thought I was imagining it, but then I started seeing people staring, little glances mixed with curiosity and judgment. People were whispering, and I felt like I was the center of attention. I tried to tell myself I was just paranoid, but when I went to the break room for tea, I saw a group of coworkers standing there, looking at me, half shocked, half disgusted, then turning away, trying to hide their smirks. I just stood there. My heart felt heavy as I held the cup of tea, trying to figure out what was going on. Back at my desk, my phone vibrated. I got a text from a coworker, "You should know. Someone saw you and Julian. They have pictures." I froze. My hands shook as I opened the message, and there was a picture. Me, walking into Julian's apartment, the light from the door shining on my face. I felt a chill go through me. I looked around the office, feeling like everyone was watching me, but no one said anything. The rumors spread fast. Every hour, the air felt thicker. People's footsteps sounded louder. Conversations stopped when I walked by, and started again as soon as I left. Some people didn't even try to hide their feelings, whispering right in front of me. It felt like my world was falling apart. All those days of hiding secrets and telling myself everything would be okay were gone. Every step I took felt like I was walking through a courtroom, with everyone judging me. I tried to act cool and keep working, but I couldn't. My hands were shaking on the keyboard, and my mind was racing. Who took the picture? Who sent it? How could I get out of this mess? The quiet laughter from the corner of the office made me feel small and alone. I knew once that picture got out, nothing would be the same. The call to the boss's office made me panic. I stood up, trying to act calm, even though I was terrified inside. When the boss's door closed behind me, his hard look stopped me in my tracks.